think it's just 5 guys between you and that rim? Try 500. Because for every guy you beat, there's 100 more out there with your same fire, working on your same moves, all trying to steal your glory. So if you want to be the one and only, and not just one of many, give that extra ounce. It might just be the one that all the others don't.
Welcome back to the Staley and English show. I'm Coach English, and with me is my main man, as always, Coach Josh Staley. Josh, how you doing over there?
I'm doing well, man. As always, God is good. I'm very excited about our special guest today, Mr. Micah Kurtz. I'm going to let him introduce himself. He's currently our strength coach at AC Florida High School, who I sincerely believe is the best in the business. I'm going to let him say a little bit, talk to us.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. Excited to be with you guys, 2 guys that I look up to, and honored to work with you, Coach Staley and Coach English. I know you're one of the best in business, so appreciate you guys inviting me to be on today.
Well, I got a question for you, Coach Kurtz. Like, how can I steal you from AC Florida? That's what I need to know. Because Josh has had you for way too long, and I need to steal you away. That's all I need to know.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I mean, the longer you're in this business, the longer I've been in this business. I mean, it's all about who you work with. And one of the reasons that I've stayed at AC Florida for so long is because of great coaches that I get to work with. And so it's awesome to work with Coach Staley. But Coach Staley ever leaves and takes a college job, I'll be calling you up to see if you got a spot for me.
No, that's no problem. Well, I would like to say this is the first introduction we've had without a Florida State or Redskin reference, and I actually appreciate that, Josh. Thank you very much.
I mean, Florida State hasn't been playing. You know, God bless everyone who went through Hurricane Irma. I hope everyone's okay. Prayers out to the families that lost loved ones, and it's just not a whole lot for me to say about the Redskins right now. I'm just humbled. We're not very good. We didn't win the first week, but hopefully we can steal something today. But I expect Brother Micah Kurtz to be a regular on this show. But I didn't know you had an ulterior motive to try to get my strength coach.
All I did was ask a question.
If that's the case.
But all I did was ask a question. You know, that's a legitimate question.
That's not a question, man. It sounds like a plot to me. That's how y'all.
That was a legitimate question.
That's how y'all up top guys are.
See, here we go with that now. We always got to go back to the up top thing. I don't understand.
Yeah, but let's do a little recap.
Yeah, we
talked about last week.
Last week we did program building. You know, building from the bottom up, making sure that your kids that you form a good base for your program. We also talked about playing time. One of the toughest things I think that a coach has to deal with. Etiquette from coaching, parents, and kids' standpoint. We also talked about transfer, what we call an epidemic of our day right now. And we also talked about social media and how kids and parents need to conduct themselves, as well as coaches, on social media.
Right. I would like to hear real quick before we get into today's topic. What is Coach Kurtz's stance on playing time and things like that?
Playing time? I mean, a lot goes off of what you guys talked about last week. I mean, I was listening to your show, and it was awesome last week. And I mean, it's at the end of the day, it is on the kid to earn the coach's trust. And it's on the coach to earn the kid's trust, so that you develop a relationship so strong between the player and the coach that they can handle the truth. And they understand why, if they're playing, they understand why they're playing. If they're not playing, they understand why they're not playing. And they understand because you've developed such a strong relationship with the athlete that they know that you have their best interests in heart. They know that you're honest with them. They know that they trust your guidance. And if they believe in you and they know you believe in them, then when you tell them why you're not playing, they're going to understand that, and they're going to understand what they need to do to be able to it change their game and be able to get on the court and help the team win.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Florida, we have a unique situation where basically kids are hit from all three angles. Like, we got an unbelievable strength program. We have very strong academics, and we would like to think we have strong athletic programs. And so kids have the opportunity to get better from every angle. And like you said, they dictate whether they're on the floor or not. I don't know many suicidal coaches who will put their career on the line not playing the best players, not playing the guys who put on the floor. But I just wanted to get your point on that before we got into today's topic.
And everybody, I mean, obviously kids are going to be biased that they're better than they are, and their parents a lot of time are going to be biased. But I mean, it's on us as coaches to develop that trust in their relationship with those kids and those parents, so that they believe in you and they know that you want the best for them.
Yes.
So
see, that went back to something that Josh said last week. He said it's about being honest. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, okay, well, am I really doing everything I'm supposed to be doing? If I'm not that good, if I can't shoot, am I working on the ability to shoot? If I can't dribble, am I working on that ability to dribble? And I think that's where it gets lost. We talked about the fact that a lot of people can't reflect upon themselves and see the weaknesses that they have so that they can work forward. And that's I think that's a huge part of it, as well as and that would make the parent more honest, because if the kid goes, well, Ma, you know, I didn't go left when I was supposed to go right. I went left when I was supposed to go right. Or, you know, I don't feel comfortable with my ability to shoot. You know, I need to get better first, and then maybe I'll see the playing time. Now, the parent would take that in and go, either they'll change the child, try to change the child's mind about how they feel, or they'll embrace it. But I think they're more likely to embrace it if the child becomes more honest with themselves.
Yeah, I think it's big to bring it to a close. I think the hows have to be way more important than the whats. Like, I watch Coach Kurtz teach a kid how to do a hang clean, and yeah, the kid did it. He did what Coach Kurtz told him to do, but how did you do it? Did you do it with the mindset to get stronger? Did you do it with the vibe to really focus on, this is going to help me be a much more explosive athlete? Or you just did it because it was up on the board? You know, so the hows, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And that's what a lot of people struggle with. They can say, well, I came to every workout, coach, so I did what I was supposed to do, but how did you do it? You know, did you kill every rep, or did you find yourself going 60% hard in the reps? But we're not going to get into deep into that, because that's conversations that can go on forever.
We only got
layers.
We only got a couple. We only got about 45 to an hour for this show.
So it's layers. But today's topic, I think, is very important, because as coaches, you know, we always find ourselves playing a role of role models. So today's topic is, we're going to talk about role models in sports, towing the lines between coaching and winning. And I'm gonna open the floor up to you guys, man. Take turns on, like, how do you feel your role is as a role model as a coach?
Well, first off, I think you gotta, what the behavior that you want your kids to emulate, you have to emulate. Whatever it is that you want your whatever you coach, whatever it is you want your kids to be. Do you want them to be positive members in society? Do you want them to be kids that value faith? Do you want them to be kids that grow up to value family? Whatever it is that you want, you know, do you want them to be good fathers? You know, Josh, the one thing about you that is huge is, shoot, your son stay in the gym with you. You know, no one can say that you're not around your kids, or your kids are not around you. My kids are at the gym every day. You know, they get off, they get picked up from daycare and they're straight to the gym with me. You know, so the kids, and then your kids develop relationships with your players, and they look up to your players, and your players feel a sense of, oh man, now I can't act a certain way because now I can't curse because Coach Son is over here. Right. You know, and that's showing them how to be a father, and you know how to be. They don't know what's going on behind closed doors. They don't, but they see, what they see is you being a good father. You know what I mean? And they see. So I think that if you're doing it right, you don't really have to call the line between being a good mentor and winning, because something that was said to me when I first got the Denmark job was, you know what your first job is to do? And I said, yeah, coach, I got to win games. And I was having a conversation with Coach Gates, and he said, no. He said, your first job is to make sure that you produce great young men. He said, if you are working at everything you can do to create great young men first, then making sure they're graduating on time and are academically eligible to play on the next level, he said, winning will happen. And I've been trying my best to live that, you know, them not seeing, you know, everybody knows you live a personal life, but your kids shouldn't know you drink. Your players shouldn't know, if you're single, your players shouldn't know you run the streets with women. Like they shouldn't, whether that's who you are or not behind closed doors, what they see needs to be a positive young role model, because we're young role models. If you think about it, it needs to be a positive young role model, so that they can in turn aspire to be that. You know, I had a student ask me why I wear a shirt and tie to work every day. I said, because that's what I want y'all to see. I want you to see that. I said, I'm not going to look like this for basketball practice, but for these first 6 classes I got to teach every day, you're going to see me in a shirt and tie with pants and shoes on, because I need you to know that it's possible for a young man to look professional and carry himself like a professional. So, I mean, like that's just my thoughts on it. Coach Kurt?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's even close, especially at the high school level, that our number one responsibility as a coach is to be a positive role model and to develop kids of character and to be positive members of society, to be better brothers and sisters, to be better sons and daughters, to go out and become a good husband and wife and be a good person in society. And like you said, when you first started coaching, we think, hey, our job is to win games.
Yeah.
And obviously that is our job, is to win games. But the older I get and the more I've been coaching, the more I understand that the number one job is to be a positive role model and be a positive influence on these kids' lives. And I teach weight training class, strength and conditioning class to the majority of our athletes in school, and I tell them in our first time meeting every year, I'm like, this is the most important class that you're ever going to take in high school. It's not because I'm teaching it, where I'm biased because I say strength training is the most important, but there is no better breeding ground for being a success in life than through training and hard work and strength and conditioning, and then also through athletics. And so I take my job seriously, where I'm the strength coach. My job is to maximize their potential as athletes, but my job also is to use my position and my platform to maximize their potential in all areas of life. And that's my number one focus. And the longer I've been coaching, the more sense of responsibility I've felt for needing to be able to do that.
And it's just so funny because you hear stories where coaches don't, and it's way more. They say, negativity spreads, positivity does not. And it's the guys that I associate, you can't associate yourself with everybody, but the guys that I choose to associate myself with are guys that are positive role models, that you don't hear things, that can always get hired, that never have a serious issues, are great husbands, are great fathers, just are great men to know. Josh, where are you?
I mean, I agree 100% that as coaches, our first responsibility is the development of a person. Okay, we have to ensure that the young men and the young women that we're guiding them in morally sound direction and not just saying we're trying to win games. But I'm going to go as far to say, as coaches, we are human. I mean, we are human. Pardon me. We're human. So we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have shortcomings. But the catch, I guess, it is with us when we go through those shortcomings, we go through those mistakes. Like Coach Kurtz said earlier, we have to have such a strong relationship with the children and we coach and the parents that we deal with, that they have to know all of our efforts are still genuine and what's best for the kid, even through our mistakes. But I agree 100% that our first job as coaches are to be positive role models. But with that being said, being the devil's advocate here, yeah, we got to be positive role models, but you can be as positive you want, but if you're not winning, you're not going to have a job very long. I don't care how many kids you get to graduate, how many kids getting kids in school on a consistent basis might save you a little while longer, but at the end of the day, in this profession, it's about winning. So where do we toe that line?
See, but here's the thing, though, Josh. You're saying what you just said was, you can get kids signed all the time. This, that, if you're consistently having kids signed, trust me, you're winning.
No,
trust me, you're winning games.
I don't agree.
You don't agree you're winning games?
I've seen coaches get kids signed on a regular and not win at a high level. You might not get to. Let me say this: you might not get to a state championship. I'm not talking about winning championships.
See, but I'm talking about people. You, for instance, kids on every year since I've known you, you've had kids signed, and every year since I've known you, you have been extremely successful.
I've been fortunate to have the best of both worlds, all three worlds. Kids graduate, kids sign to go to. I've been blessed, and all glory go to God. I've not had 1 year where anything less than 2 kids have signed. Okay, I've never, and that's almost 20 years of coaching. But what I'm saying is, and I've been blessed to have some success as far as wins versus losses, as far as the number being greater on the left side of the column than the right side. But I am going to be real enough to know, from my experience, I've seen coaches do 2 of the latter, get them graduate and get them in school, but the wins don't add up.
I mean, are they putting in the work that? Because I believe that as a coach, you do have a job to do as far as coaching is concerned. You got to put in that work. You got to get in the lab with the kids. The reason why your kids, some kids do get signed off of talent, yes, but 9 times out of 10, it's about how you have trained them, how they have bought into a system. The reason why your gym stays packed with college coaches is because you're winning games, but it's because of the work that you have done with the kids. You have talent, but you still have to find a way to get that talent to play together. So these guys that you got, that you're talking about, that are not winning, that are having kids signed off of talent or whatever else, they still had to do something to attract that. You have kids are getting signed because they're going to play with the right AAU team. You feel what I'm saying? And then they come to the gym and see the kid in a losing environment. But at the same time, that's on what the kid has done. Now, if the coach is doing his job on the high school level, I believe, I've never made it past the second round, but I would like to say I have been somewhat successful on. I'm
gonna let Micah get a point out.
It's obvious. It's clear that our job as coaches is to win games, and if you don't win, you're going to lose. But I think that the first priority needs to be developing positive role models and positive citizens, and obviously that you also need to win. But and especially at the high school level,
right? You
should not put winning above character. And I think that guys that do that, and even though they do win, I don't think they should. I would, if I was in an administrative role and I had a guy that was consistently going to the playoffs and consistently competing for state championships, but he was a terrible person in developing terrible kids, I wouldn't want him to be my coach. And if I was a parent, I wouldn't want that guy coaching my kids either.
I wouldn't want him around my kids.
100%. So we need to win games as coaches, but it should not be placed above developing character. And like, and even at the college level, like, I know that's a big business, but like, I root against Louisville football because I cannot stand Bobby Petrino. He's he's not a good person, and I don't think he should be. I understand college athletics is a big business, but I wouldn't want my kid to go play for him either. I mean,
but that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. Minus all the variables. You got to be a great person. All the variables, like you say, yeah, you work hard, yeah, you do this, but minus all the variables. Where do we toe that line, and when does it begin to be overlooked? When it comes down to winning and doing the right thing. Because like you said, you just said Petrino, right? You can look at Louisville basketball coach. If an average basketball coach at the D1 level has that situation, he's fired off the muscle. There's no he's not able to say, well, I didn't know it was going on. He's fired off the muscle and his career is probably over. Rick Pitino is fine. I mean, they got their NCAA allegations and they're appealing them and everything right now. But because of all of the winning, it has nothing to do with character on that one. Because of all of the winning, Rick Pitino is safe. So that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm playing the devil's advocate on. Where is the cutoff? For me, the person, like you said, the cutoff is this. My child's moral legacy is more important than their athletic legacy any day, because that's what they're going to be remembered for. That like as great of a running back as O.J. Simpson was, every young kid now 25 and younger only remembers him as the dude that got off the murder charge and the dude that went back to jail for kidnapping. That's it. So your moral legacy is what you're going to be remembered for over athletics any day, which is ludicrous to me why Terrell Owens still hasn't got into the NFL Hall of Fame, and really hadn't committed not one crime. Right. So it's like those things, and I think, and I personally believe he should be in it because, like you said, I don't think he did anything legally wrong. But where's that line told?
Well, you need to do both. You need to be a successful coach. You need to develop kids to be positive role models, positive citizens, and you need to win. If you are only doing one, I don't think you are going to last as a coach. If you're winning games but are a terrible person and developing terrible kids, eventually people are going to be like, this guy's too much. If you're a great dude and you're not winning, they're going to say, hey, we love you. But the administration, hey, I love you. You're a great dude, but you're not getting it done here. So you need to be able to do both, in my opinion.
And I do agree with both statements. For me, it's kind of like I believe one affects the other, right? Positively or negatively. I think they both affect each other. I think that if you have to decide between your morality or winning, then that's not the job for you. If that's what it is, if they're saying, hey, look, you could do this. Hey, coach, you got to win these amount of games. No, we don't care how much you have signed somebody, how much this and that, whatever you got to do to win these games, we want you to win. You got to do this. I don't think I could. I would not be able to work in a place like that. A place where my kids are not getting written up. They're acting a fool.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The question isn't with the people at this table. You're a good man. You're a good man. I wouldn't associate we wouldn't be sitting down doing this podcast. We wouldn't want Micah to be here every time if you were bad, if you guys were bad people. And that's not to judge, because we all have shortcomings. But how is the Rick Pitino situation overlooked? How did the coach from Baylor get away with that for so long? Because if it doesn't hit the media, is he still the coach at Baylor? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what? For me, like you said, we all know what the cutoff is. You have to be morally sound because you're leading people. You're leading men, you're leading women, and young men and young women. You're leading people. So it calls for you to be morally sound. Not morally perfect, but morally sound. And in worst case scenario, like you said, your actions and your advice should never be morally bad or negative to the people that you're leading. So it's going to be a tough situation. I agree with Coach Kurtz. You have to do both. You have to. But on the real side of it, I know some people that society would consider a scumbucket still leading kids because they win.
Oh, exactly.
Win,
So it's obviously that some people, some schools, some universities place winning over character.
Right.
Obviously, all three of us that are sitting here don't think that should happen, but we're just high school coaches, and then there's ADs making $1 million at colleges that don't agree with our points right there.
Yeah,
I was listening to a guy yesterday speak. Jesus, it's Rick Torbett from Better Basketball. He said there's theory and then there's reality. He said there's a difference between theory. In theory, what we're saying is, you got to be morally this and this, that, and the third. But the reality of the situation for some people in certain positions is because they win, they don't have to be moral. They don't have to be. They don't have to be morally responsible.
Right, because they win at such a high level, and that's what I'm talking about. When do we, as a society, and we're going to bring this to a close, we can move to the next topic, but when do we as a society say, hey, enough is enough? But Micah, you're right. It's going to come out, and you're going to get caught. Because here's what's even more like, and I wouldn't wish any man to lose their job. That's not my style. I can't stand when people wish bad on another person. But as much admiration and respect I have for Rick Pitino as a coach, and I say have, not had, because I'm trying not to be judgmental here, but I think him living with the fact that people know, people with common sense knew that he knew what was going on. Okay? I think that's harder to digest than losing a big game. So just the fact that he knows that people knew that, like you said, it came out, and he's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. Like the situation that happened at Penn State with those babies that were molested. Some people are going to have to live with that for the rest of their lives. So the moral compass should be always doing it right.
But here's the question. You said they got to live with it. So of course they're sorry, right?
Right.
Are they sorry they did it, or are they sorry they got caught?
And that
is the question at that point.
And that's what I'm talking about in sports, though, which kind of gets into some of our next topics. I don't want to skip around.
Well,
going into the next topic, how the way society responds to different events, and the way the athletic world responds to different events. Okay, with some of the athletes that get caught, you have people in the NFL that has manslaughter charges that were able to continue to play, drug charges that were able to continue to play. In society, we don't, in regular society outside the sports world, the children that we're coaching, we have to teach them that they aren't going to get those multiple chances. They aren't going to get the privileged opportunity to get off like that. So that's why I think being a role model is so important, because like a lot of the stuff we go through, society response versus athletic response as far as discipline isn't real. Mm-hmm. The regular people like me and you, we get a DUI, we get pulled over, we're getting arrested.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to lose our jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting arrested. But then you can literally have Dante Stallworth get a DUI and kill someone, and he was playing wide receiver. He continued to play wide receiver in the NFL. God forbid, I don't want it to happen to anyone, but if it happens to regular people, that person's probably going to jail.
The lady with her kids.
Yeah, so like what are we giving off in the athletic arena? That because it also at the end of the day it affects the adults too, but it affects the youth the most, because that the way they think, as much as a kid might want to say they want to be grown, they got their own mind. They're still learning from the people that are older than them.
And they watch more ESPN than probably I do, so they hear the stories of how this guy got this and this guy got that. So to a certain degree, they feel as though they're above. If they're a good athlete, if they're a great athlete, they can come in above that. And to bring it back to high school, so y'all know I just got back off the road from Atlanta. I was at a coach's clinic, and one of the coaches out of Georgia was talking about the situation that happened over this high school in Georgia shortly before the state championship game, maybe 1 or 2 days. A kid got arrested in close proximity to the state championship. Probably about 2 days. The administration, whoever, helped him to get out, and he played in that game. So he got out of jail and was in practice the next day, played in the state championship.
And that's where we kind of get a bad name in the sports arena.
And that's what I'm saying. Where, to me, it should have been a reprimand, period. You know, you talking about setting a standard for kids and having them learn these lessons that the NFL or superstars, they're superstars. Like, they can afford that lawyer that's going to put in whatever deposition got to be made and find the loophole. They can afford that. They can afford that $1 million an hour lawyer. Mm-hmm. Your mama can't afford that. You in high school, your mama can't afford that lawyer. So guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a public defender who has a heavy load, and you're going to go to jail. I mean, so now
Coach Kurtz, what do we learn from that though? Like you just said, I don't know who he's talking about, but a kid gets arrested right before the state championship game, and I don't want to know who he's talking about.
He shouldn't play.
And what did that kid learn from that situation?
That he can get away with stuff, and he got away with it then, and now he thinks he's 21, 22 years old. He gets in trouble again. If toeing the line and say, hey, even if I do get caught, I'll get out of it. No, you're not going to get out of it.
Yeah.
They let you go then, did not teach you any type of life lesson, and now it's going to catch up with you in the long run. And like we said, I mean, like Coach English, like you said, there's a difference between in theory and in reality.
Yeah.
And in theory, should those professional athletes that got caught, should they be punished the same as everybody else? Probably yes. But in reality, in this world that we live in, if you got money, you're going to have privilege, and that's reality. And you just got to understand that's what it is. It is what it is. We can't change that. All we can do is try and live right, so we don't get caught, because we know we don't have the money to get out of stuff like this pro athletes.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. It's like the way society responds. Like, because if that kid wasn't a great football player about to play for a state championship, I don't see anyone from the school going to get a regular kid that just goes to English, math, science, and arts every day to get them out of jail. They aren't going to do that. It would have been strictly up to the kid. So we have to be, as role models, we have to be very, very careful how we treat what we teach our kids. We have to give them the real, because everyone's not going to be Kevin Durant. Everyone's not going to be LeBron. And that's a lot of times, that's why I'm so high on LeBron, not because, he's the best, one of the greatest to ever walk the planet. And we can have a debate about that on the show one day too. But like, he's a role model. He is not perfect, but he is a role model. And our youth, not black kids, not white kids, all kids need to see people doing positive things like that, because the more positive energy we put into the world, the more positive things happen. So LeBron being a role model like that is big for me. So we have to continue to be great role models as coaches.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said about possibly doing a show sometime on LeBron, I think is an unbelievable idea, because LeBron, for being famous since he was 13, 14 years old, and to have never been caught up in any type of scandal, any type of lawsuit, any type of arrest, it's unbelievable how just that man's character is unbelievable. With all the women that throw themselves at him, and he's never been caught up in anything like that. He's a great father, a great husband. And I mean, you can, like you said, I mean, I love the idea of a show on LeBron, because we debate every day about who's better. I mean, not me and Coach Staley. We have the same we have the same view, but with our kids really about who's greater player all time, LeBron or MJ. Everybody always has it. But I'll say this: I think LeBron is going to make a much bigger impact on society than Michael Jordan. Yeah. LeBron stands up for social issues. LeBron's a great role model. Michael Jordan, I mean, he didn't take stands on societal issues or anything like that.
Well, I just in that sense, I think also, Michael Jordan's agenda was a little bit. They're just two different people, and Michael Jordan's impact on basketball, I do think, as Michael Jordan's impact was on basketball, LeBron's impact is on society. I think
100%.
They have two different.
100%.
They have two different.
Because that goes into the next topic. Who can the kids look up to then?
I mean, it's
what professional athletes can they look up to?
I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, my son's 4, and I've talked to him about the Colin Kaepernick situation.
Mm-hmm.
I let him watch certain things, and I think that we as parents have to kind of navigate that when they're young. Say, hey, this is what, because if they'll look up to whatever we look up to, if we're sitting there glorifying whatever we're going to glorify as kids, because I know Lord Edison, he comes and sits right. If I'm watching football, he'll come and sit right next to me. I know he's going to be a Giants fan. Why? Because Daddy always watches the Giants, so I know that's what he's going to be. So if they see me,
would be terrible for that child. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's not start that. Let's not start that debate. But in that sense, I think that they can look up to the people like the LeBron James, people who actually say something when it's time for something to be said, who actually, they'll get on their social media and be positive and try to back whatever, so try to find a way to attack whatever social issue is available. The Bennett brothers in football, I think they do a good job of being socially conscious and carrying themselves in a particular way in which they might not say it the most articulate way, but they're very, very conscious of what's going on and do a lot in the community. And I think those are the type of people that we should want our kids to look up to. But the problem is, like me and Coach Kurtz was saying, I think we were talking off air, negativity, or that might have been on air, but negativity, it spreads quickly. But so yeah, you'll hear more about like I saw something for Ray Caruth meeting his son. I was like, I didn't even know this was still a relevant story.
Negativity makes news. But
it sells.
Let me put this disclaimer out right here. Charles Barkley said in a commercial a long time ago, "I am not a role model." You're right, Chuck. And I don't need you. Technically, I don't need you to be a role model for my sons. Uh-huh. I don't. But those guys that go far and beyond to make sure they are putting forth a good image for kids, not a perfect image. You see, I don't need you to be perfect, because I tell my sons all the time I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
My wife isn't perfect. I'm not giving my sons a fairy tale. But was I a little happy when I found out my oldest son was a big time Steph Curry fan? Yes, because he's a great role model. Yeah. Was I happy that Jason loves LeBron James? Yes, because they're great role models. And I was so excited that they love John Wall. And the reason why I'm glad they love John Wall, because John Wall didn't have a perfect start. Mm-hmm. But he continued to grow, and that's what life is about. People being role models. So the guys that do step outside of that comfort zone of what is not required of them, thank you. I want to say thank you, because you don't have to do that, because our kids need, at the end of the day, you're blessed with a lot. And you might say, well, I earned this. Yeah, you might, but somebody helped you along the way to get to that point. And I really appreciate the guys that don't take that for granted and are good role model for our kids. Not perfect role models. Just because you might get a weed charge. You might get something, but that does not mean you can't be a role model. But the ones that are brave enough to stand for something, I appreciate you.
That's why, I think it's awesome right now that more of these athletes are embracing being a role model and speaking out on social issues. And I think it's great for kids to look up to them and see that and see them standing for something. And so it's interesting. So Muhammad Ali was big socially conscious on societal issues. Then the next generation, where you got like Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, they were just about basketball.
Yeah, because I think they were more about their brands. They were worried about branding. I think that they were. Yeah.
And I think I don't know, I mean, obviously you don't know what was going through their
heads at that time, yeah.
They thought, hey, if I speak out on societal issues, it's going to mess up my brand.
Yeah.
But now these guys are starting to say, hey, I am the brand. I'm bigger than the brand. I can make the brand what I want, and I'm going to speak out on my views, and it's not going to affect my brand. And now they can also embrace making an impact on society as well, on social issues, and being a positive role model. And so I salute LeBron, Steph Curry, D Wade, Carr from the Raiders. Yeah. I mean, those guys speak out, and they're good role models. Not just by living right, but also by speaking out when stuff goes wrong in the world.
Yeah, and another person, and he's probably not an athlete, but he's associated with sports, that my kids listen to. And I let them listen to him because I listen to the show. I listen to First Take, and Stephen A. Smith is probably one of my favorite guys because he's extremely articulate and he speaks out on social issues and when they come up, and he speaks his mind, whatever it is. He'll tell you it's his thought, his idea, and I like the fact of my kids speaking their mind, especially if it's right. Whether you agree or disagree, we can agree to disagree. We can all sit here and have a discussion, and we could all be on separate ends of whatever the disagreement is, but at the end of the day, we respect one another's opinions. And I think that right or wrong, for whatever it is he does a great job of articulating that. Like you said, LeBron James, Steph Curry. I mean, and the list goes on and on.
It's growing every year.
What Jared? Was it not Jared? The Texans defense. J.J. Watt and what he did down in Texas. I mean, things like that are things that you see, but it's not. You hear about it, but it's not really that much glorified to the extent that it should be, because it's not newsworthy. It's not what should be a hot topic. A hot topic is Zeke and should he be suspended or not, and the fact that Zeke has not yet said I didn't do it. He's saying the process that they went by suspending me by is well, you didn't say you didn't do it.
Exactly. And that's what, the news law, and I think the reason is that those are big topics is because really, the majority of people like to see people fail. They'd rather see people fail than see them win. And like Coach Staley said, he would never wish somebody to do bad. And I sincerely believe that is in Coach Staley's heart, because I'm with Coach Staley every day, and I'd never hear him speak poorly of anybody. And Coach Staley wants everybody to win. And unfortunately, a lot of people in society want to see people lose, and that's why the news is reporting it, because people like to see that. So, I mean, hopefully more people will start rooting for people to win instead of rooting for people to lose.
I think that when you
that's going to take a lot of practice.
A good friend of mine, Doc, he always says you got to put that good. He calls karma juju. He says you got to put that good juju out there, so some of it will come back on you. And Josh does a great job of. I've never heard him say a negative, not one negative word. He might say something about me.
Yeah, he'll say negative stuff about us.
Yeah, he'll say negative stuff
not
about
people he doesn't know.
Only my friends. It's like y'all make me feel great every day.
Yeah,
so it's a two-way street. But let's bring this thing to a close. I know we've been talking, and I'll start with my closing statement. My closing statement is here. We're talking about role models, and my question is this, and I will try to be as brief as possible. My question goes to the NFL. My question goes to the sports world, because you make a lot of money. And which way is the right way? How are you going to change the element of being a role model for these young people? We do know we have great individuals making individual stands. Even to talk about the Colin Kaepernick, I do think that should be a whole show. But here's a man that took a stand for something the correct way. He didn't get out and curse people out. He didn't throw a rock through a window. He used his rights in a way on the platform that he had. And I know, every time in my class every day when the Pledge of Allegiance come on, I stand up, I salute the flag. But he was kneeling for a cause. That same thing that J.J. Watt did, he came up with something to help people. Colin Kaepernick was trying to help people. He wasn't doing that just to be a rebel. There is, and a lot of times we don't want to talk about these things, but I think he took a stand as a role model because there is a problem with race in America. And anybody that wants to say, no, it isn't, I don't really want to deal with you because you aren't a realist. And some people are like, I don't agree with how he did it. What platform would you have had him use it on? If you don't agree with how he's an NFL football player, that's his largest platform. He took a knee because he wants a certain group of people to stop being oppressed. That's okay for him to do that. He has the right to do that. Should he have a job in NFL? Yes. Does the NFL owners have to hire him? No. So you do have a chokehold on him. But you guys, and I'm talking to you NFL folk, and I'm talking to you owners, y'all are going to have to take a deep look in the mirror. Yeah, 100% of y'all are probably never going to be harassed by a police officer because you're black. 100% of y'all are probably going to never really have to worry about your family members being harassed in that manner. But 100% of you guys should care about your brothers and sisters in America that might not be from the same race as you to stop having to go through that. And if Colin Kaepernick was willing to sacrifice his career to simply take a knee and say, look, we got to do something about this. He was still a great teammate. He still came to work on time. He still did his job. But he took a stand with the platform that he had, and he was not legally or morally wrong for that. And everything that you guys countered on him was, well, he's disrespecting the troops. He's disrespecting the flag. That's not why he was kneeling. He was kneeling because he wants equity and equality and for social rights for all people in America, not just the majority. I'm not saying this to give this man a job because obviously it looks like he managed his money well and he's going to be okay. But I do hope he does get back in the NFL. But my question to you, NFL, is when are y'all going to start promoting role models for these young kids? Because if criminals, drug dealers, and murderers, I don't want to say murderers, but people that's taken someone else's life or even been on trial for a murder can come back and play, why can't this man who took a knee for people to get equality get a second chance?
Shoot, add to that, perpetrators of domestic violence. I mean, they had an opportunity to come back and have jobs, and I think that the wrong things. There's an issue in our society if a man who stands up for what he believes is condemned by his employers. These people, and I don't want to continue this on Colin Kaepernick, but these people conspired amongst themselves to say no one is going to hire him. There's 30 NFL teams. What is it, 30?
32.
32 NFL teams, right?
Something like that.
So there's 62 quarterbacks. Let's say first and second string. You got 62 quarterbacks. I'm not even talk about third string or fourth string. Third string. You got 62 quarterbacks. Let's say 28 of those quarterbacks are better than Colin Kaepernick. That means he's still better than over 50% of the quarterbacks there. And you're not going to hire the man to do a job.
I don't think he's not hired because of a
No. I'm just saying
performance.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Is that you're not hiring him because you have made a decision about the NFL the NFL fans. You've made a decision for the NFL fans because you think it's going to hurt your bottom line. You think that it's going to be people that are going to boycott games because Colin Kaepernick has a job. And I think some people tried to start a boycott of the NFL. And the thing is, it's too many. It's too many. That's not going to work. It's just
it's a good thought and good idea.
Theory and reality.
What are your thoughts? What are some of your final thoughts, Mike?
Well, I mean, what both of you guys said was very eloquently spoken. It's 100% true. There is a racial problem in the U.S., in the world. It's sad. It's 2017, and it seems like it's getting worse and not getting better, which going back to the very beginning of the show, we talked about being positive role models, and I think that's another reason why our job is so important, to be positive role models and to develop kids of character, because look at AC Flora. AC Flora High School, we're about 50-50 white and black. We have kids that come from $1 million homes. We have kids that come from the projects. On Coach Staley's basketball team, he's going to have kids that never would have spoken to each other in their life, except now they're on the same basketball team, and now they're getting to know each other. They're learning about each other's personalities, their cultures, and there's no other place in the world that can help slow down. I mean, racism I don't see ending anytime soon, but trying to make it better. There's no better place than in athletics and in sports, and that's why it's our job, and that's why I take the being a positive role model and developing kids of character extremely seriously, and that's why it's awesome to be able to work with Coach Staley, I know that is his number one goal, and he is an unbelievable role model, and I know just from knowing you, Coach English, over the last couple of years, you're an unbelievable guy. That's what we need in this world, is coaches that are teaching these character development, and hopefully, and again, like me and Coach English talked off the air about strength and conditioning, and his kids wanting to be able to throw 360 dunks down, and like, hey, why is it not happening right like that? It's a process, and racism is not going to just stop just like that. No. But we got to just continually try and teach and love and coach and develop kids 360 holistically about everything, and that's why I take my job so seriously, and I know that's what you guys are about, and I just hope there's more coaches out here like you guys.
Yeah, man, and I think this is a very wholesome show. Hopefully Coach Kurtz agrees with us and becomes a regular. But we'll make this the final statement. Let me break it down for you right here, in case for some of y'all people that don't understand why Colin Kaepernick was taking the knee, because most people still think, oh, y'all still have the same rights. And if you don't know, I don't have a problem with talking about race because I'm not a racist. And if you don't know by now, Micah Kurtz is white and I'm black. And we talk about issues all the time. And he's become one of my closest friends, okay? Because we're transparent, and if there is a question, we don't have a problem with talking to each other about it. But let me say, if you look at the last couple of my tweets, I put a hashtag, something. It's hashtags for everything, but this hashtag for me, I put beating 355. And I put it on a few of my last couple of tweets on the hashtag. And if you put, and people might say, well, what does beating 355 mean? Well, I'm going to tell you what beating 355 means. The slave trade in America for African Americans started in 1619. Slavery ended in 1865. That's just about 246 years. Okay, 245 years. Okay, from 1865, the Civil Rights Act wasn't signed until 1964, 1963. You just added another 99 to that 245. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what now? 345. Okay, that's 345. Let's say from 1964 to 1980, everything was peachy. I'm gonna give you those 16 years. But then in 1980, something called a war on drugs occurred, and we all know how that went for the black community. Don't sell drugs if you don't want to go to jail. I understand that. So we just added another 10 years to that 345. Now we're up to 355. The reason why Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee, because for 355 years in this country, a specific group was singly discriminated against. That's an unbelievable gap that we have to close. Now that's a whole nother show that we would have to talk about to understand all of the strongholds that was created within that 355 year gap. So I'm giving you the 16 years I just said, from 64 to 80, and from 1990, let's say everything was peachy, to 2017. That's only 43 years. You're saying that it was equal? That's why he was taking a knee, not because he disrespects his country. And if you look at Colin Kaepernick's story, you will see even more. But with that being said, we're going to sign out. We appreciate you guys for listening, and we will be getting with you next week.
Well, join the conversation. First off, we'd like to thank Coach Kurtz for coming through. Please become a regular.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
Add his name to the show.
Yeah, we're going to have to add his name to the show.
Right here, Coach English, Coach Staley. Appreciate you guys.
We like always, join the conversation. You can email to join the conversation. You can email us at the Staley and English Show. That's AND, the Staley and English Show @gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube at the Staley and English Show. It's not hard to remember. It's long, but it's not hard to remember. Join the conversation. Send us your comments, shout outs. We're also starting to take advertising. So if you have a business that you'd like to advertise, email us, the Staley and English Show @gmail.com. Enjoy your week. No matter what happens, put God first. Everything else will follow. Peace.
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. It's something that truly exists in all of us. It's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. It's that simple.
I know who I am, and I know what I believe.
I know who I am, I know what I believe.
That's all I need to know.
That's all I need to know. So from there, you do what you need to do. And I think what happens is we make the situation more complex than it has to be.
Look, if we're looking for complexity, there's got to be something complex to understand.
It can't be that easy.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft.
I think that there's a certain delusional quality that all successful people have to have. You have to believe that something different than what has happened for the last 50 million years of history. You have to believe that something different can happen.